There's an absolute mountain of content on the internet around the subject of graphic design. Most of it is about logos and brand identity, and then the rest is about how to use the software. And all of that is incredibly useful, of course. It all has its place. But there's one thing missing from the conversation that I want to start talking about today, and it is the beautiful marriage between design and really good writing. If you think of design in all of its various different formats, brand identity, web design, advertising, editorial design, it's all entirely pointless if it's not being propped up by really good writing. Writing is so important to design. It's always sitting alongside it. It is the one thing that can genuinely make or break a great design idea. And they're always sitting side by side. You rarely have one without the other. And that's why today I want to talk to you about falling in love with copywriting. Every great song needs a lyricist, every great movie needs dialogue, and every great design needs equally great copy. Now here's what I love most about copy, right? If you look at some of these examples, the best copywriting can stand entirely on its own. A brilliant headline can be written in a plain, boring typeface on a plain white background, and it can still make you think, make you laugh, make you cry, or make you pull out your credit card. And then you've got examples like these where you start to introduce a little bit of design. Maybe it's just a product image or a small design element, but the copy is still doing most of the heavy lifting here. And then you've got these examples where the idea, the words, and the design all interconnect. They are nothing without the other. And when you understand both, you can really start to push ideas in interesting directions. When it comes to the ability that copy has to make you laugh or cry with just a single sentence, design can rarely do that on its own. The most beautiful, perfectly balanced, golden ratioed layout in the world will not make the buying public laugh, think, or cry entirely on its own. If you've ever found yourself faced with having to come up with a design idea that is coupled with a line of text like this: "We provide synergistic solutions for paradigm-shifting enterprises." There is no design on earth that is saving a website from a headline like this. And when you're given a headline like this, you know in your bones you're not going to think of anything interesting in it. And that in itself should be enough of an alarm bell for you to know that if you're not being inspired by it, the user or the consumer that you're designing for is not going to be inspired by it either. And that should be the point you think to yourself, that needs to say something else. And the reason you're probably not doing that is you don't have the confidence in your own writing to offer any suggestions on how to improve it. Do you remember that younger version of you who aspired to have a creative career? Do you remember them? Well, every time you're given a line of copy like this to work from, that little younger version of you, a little bit of them dies. And I want to help you stop murdering the child version of yourself with shitty copy like this. Like, none of us got into this game to spend our time polishing turds of words. So I think it's time to bin off the turds, and we can bin the polish while we're at it and really get into the weeds of how we become better designers by getting better at writing. For years and years and years, the creative industry has kept these two things in separate boxes. Designers sit in one corner making things look pretty, and copywriters drift off into the other corner to play around with letters. But our little marketing game has changed. And if you want to stand out right now among all of the AI shenanigans and the social media tomfoolery, if you want to stop being treated like a pixel pusher and start being treated like an actual strategic creative partner, you need to become a double threat with your design and your words. Actually, what I want to make you become is a triple threat. A threat in design, a threat in really good communication, and a threat in exceptional writing. I've done loads of videos on the communication part. Now we're going to get into the writing, because words are one of the most powerful tools you have at your disposal to become a much better designer. Not enough of us are talking about it, so let's talk about it today. And I'm going to show you 3 simple copywriting rules. These are like bog standard rules that will get you at least started on your journey. And they're going to help make your design thinking and your design ideas 10 times better. But first, I want to prove to you just how valuable copy is to design. We're going to look at a really well-known one from The Economist, right? For decades and decades, they've been using copy-driven ads that were nothing more than white text on a red background. They didn't need any photos or illustration. They just needed pure, beautiful, majestic words to get the message across. And all this example says is, I never read The Economist, management trainee, aged 42. It's beautiful. It tells an entire story of ambition, failure, and the type of person that reads this magazine, all in about 10 words. And the design side of it is doing exactly what it needs to do. It's got the red of The Economist, it uses the typeface from The Economist, and then everything else is just getting the hell out of the way and letting the words do the heavy lifting here. Here's another one from Swiss Life. Love this one. I'm not interested in getting married. In church is more romantic. And then at the bottom, it's for all life's twists and turns. You see someone literally change their mind on a subject halfway through a sentence. I'm not interested in getting married. And then actually getting married in a church is more romantic. Again, one simple sentence tells an entire story of how we go through life changing our views on things, and that these guys are here to help us with all of those twists and changes. One line of text, nothing else going on designy, just their serif typeface, their logo in the bottom right corner. That's all it needs. The words have done enough work here. We don't need anything else. That is how strong really good copy can be. Now, there are some examples of design doing all of the heavy lifting and not needing the copy to prop it up, but you generally only see that for brands that have been around for decades and have a fully established brand identity. Chances are you're not going to have the luxury of doing something like that because you won't be working with such a well-established brand for whatever it is you're working on. You need words. And now here's an example of where words and a little bit of design thinking have worked really well in conjunction with one another. This is the Volkswagen Think Small ad from 1959. Now, typically in car advertising, the car is the star of the show. It's big, it's bold, it's colorful, it's centrally framed, it's right in the middle of the image. It is the star. But playing on the size of the car and a really simple tagline like Think Small, they were able to subvert people's expectations of how these ads look and make the car really small in the whole frame of the design, in this sea of white space around it. Chances are that design idea only came about because the line was thought of first and they could develop the entire aesthetic around those two words. And this is the kind of thing that happens when you stop thinking of copy as that just inconvenient mush of words that you've got to fit into a box around everything else you're doing. I want you to start thinking of it as an integral part of the full design that you're working with, and it helps build the core concept of whatever it is you're creating. And with that in mind, let's start with some of the basics, right? I want to give you 3 beginner rules of copywriting for designers. If you've never thought about this before, you've never really looked into it, these are just 3 simple rules I want you to start thinking about from today. Number 1 is stick to one thing. One reason that you tend to work with very bland copy is that people get excited when they are launching new things, and then they start working with a designer, and then the copy that they present to you is bland because they're trying to explain too many things at once. They want to fit everything in to this first message people will see. So you end up with lines like, our software is fast and it's secure and it's cheap and we have great customer service and please love us, please. And when you try and say everything at once, you end up saying nothing at all. Great copy focuses on one single interesting idea. And if you're designing a hero section for a website or a poster or a social media graphic, you need to think to yourself, what is the one thing the reader needs to know? And if the idea is something like speed, then every word, every pixel, everything that you're doing should communicate speed, and you cut the rest out. You can leave all the boring details for the small print that appears later on, but the headline's job is to deliver one succinct punch directly to the eyeballs. And you do that by cutting out all of the crap around it and focusing on one thing and one thing only. Rule 2 is to write like you talk. Corporate jargon is the nemesis of any good design decision. If you find yourself looking at words like synergy, leverage, and innovative solutions, you're not going to have an interesting idea in your head for what you compare those words with. You just aren't. And if those words are making your brain shut down, you can bet your ass they're making the customer's brain shut down as well. David Ogilvy was a big proponent of writing the way you talk. He once said that if you wouldn't say it to a mate in a pub, then then you don't put it on a billboard. Instead of writing, "We provide comprehensive financial optimization," you should write, "We stop you from wasting money." It's punchier, it's human, and from a design perspective, shorter words look better. In larger typography, you can do much more interesting things with them. It's genuinely always a win-win. A good trick to get used to this is simply recording yourself speaking and trying to explain something. Listen to it back and picking out some of the words that you've used. The real true skill in being a great copywriter is not just writing like you talk, but being able to write the way the customer talks. But we're not there yet. We're starting small. But try to get used to writing the way you talk. If you wouldn't say it in a pub with a friend, then why the hell are you saying it to a stranger online? Then the final one is another one you may have heard, another famous one: sell the hole, not the drill. It's another old marketing saying that people don't want to buy a 1/4-inch drill, they want to buy a 1/4-inch hole. That's just another way of saying don't write about the features of a product, write about the benefits of it. Let's say you're designing an ad for a new mattress, and the copy that you've been given to work with reads as such: "Made with high density memory foam and cooling gel layers." That is devastatingly boring and no one's going to care. You're going to know that because when that hits your desk, you now have to think of a visual that matches it. And the only thing you're going to think of is a mattress, maybe with some swooshy arrows going around it. That bland copy restricts you to creating a bland image to go along with it. Now, if we change it to some benefit-driven copy, we think of, why does anybody want a new mattress? They want it because they want a better night's sleep. Why do they want a better night's sleep? Because they want to wake up feeling fresh. And you end up with a line like, "Wake up feeling like $1,000,000. See, now when you've changed it to some benefit-driven copy, your design job becomes infinitely easier. We can even have a play with that idiom to take it on a completely different direction by adding an actual buck, then another one, then another one. You get the picture, until there's about 1,000,000 of them. You no longer have to design a boring diagram of foam layers and blue arrows. You can design a visual that captures the feeling of a perfect night's sleep or a complete subversion of $1,000,000 on a screen. And for the love of God, you get the opportunity to use some humor. Imagine that. So all I would ask is that you start thinking about the lines that you are expected to work with and thinking about how you can improve them in little tiny ways to begin with. You're not going to nail this overnight. But if you are a designer that only cares about kerning and color palettes, you're going to get left behind by better and more strategic thinkers. But if you're the kind of creative thinker who understands how to use words and visuals together to not only solve the problems that you're being asked to solve, but to also subvert people's expectations and to make them feel something, you're going to become a beast. You're just going to be unstoppable. And this is what I want to talk to you more about. But we're starting with these 3 basics. I want you to start looking at design through the lens of copywriting and copywriting through the lens of design. And together, we're going to become some serious triple threats. That's all I have for you today. Watch this video next, and I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.